All right, if you have a stiff thoracic spine or a stiff rib cage, this is gonna be a quick 10-minute kind of express routine that you can integrate into your life. Everybody has 10 minutes a day, and I'm gonna try and give you guys the biggest return on investment I can in 10 minutes and teach you things that honestly most people that watch this video probably won't know, and will probably be missing pieces for a lot of people, because a lot of people, when they have stiff thoracic spines, they don't even think to work on these things or think about the actual mechanics behind it, and therefore they miss a lot of opportunity for improvement without even realizing it. But it's not the general public's job to know these things. It's our job as practitioners to teach you. So I'm going to teach you some of my secret tips that actually help with thoracic spine mobility. So you're going to notice that I've got a ball and a stick here. If you have these things, awesome, please grab them. In place of a ball, a cushion, a pillow, anything like that's going to work great. If you have a big medicine ball, those are awesome for this exercise. The stick, anything you can hang on to. So I have a stick and I'm going to wrap it around this pole so that I can lean off of it a little later, and I'll show you why and why it's important. However, a kitchen table, a desk, anything that you can just kind of have a seat in front of, grab onto and just hang back. Bench press works really good. Whatever you have accessible to you will work just fine. Now, we're going to dive right into it today, okay? So for our first exercise, what we're going to do is we're going to take ourselves through some segmental flexion and extension, because that's the fundamental movement of your thoracic spine, and without it, we don't really get much for rotation or side flexion. So again, this is one of the tips where if you've been hammering things like thoracic extension and rotation, but you don't have access to thoracic flexion, you might actually want to spend some time working on thoracic flexion, because the way your joints are built, if you don't have full flexion, it's very hard to accommodate full extension or rotation. So there's secret tip number one. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to find ourselves in this position here if you have access to this position without pain. If you don't, you can actually prop yourself up on a yoga block or something similar. Or if you need to, you can do the exact same exercise on your hands and knees. You just have to be mindful of not using your low back. I like this position because it kind of intentionally puts your low back in a slightly flexed position, and it helps to lock it, so it's a little harder for us to use our lumbar spine in this exercise where we're trying to target our thoracic spine. So what's going to happen here is we're going to hang out in this position here. I'm going to place my hands just outside my knees, around shoulder width apart, and we're going to take ourselves through segmental flexion and extension. What that means is I'm going to slowly bring my chin into my chest, and you're going to join me. Once our chin is fully into our chest, we're going to push our collarbones back behind us. Okay, so you're trying to round your upper back. Then you're going to push the middle of your sternum back. Then you're going to push your lower sternum back. And you're going to kind of work your way down into a fully flexed state, or what feels like a fully rounded position for you. Okay. Then we're going to reverse. So now I'm actually going to lift my head up, adjust my head, nothing else moves. Then I'm going to think about pulling my collarbones up, and then the top of my sternum up, and then the middle of my sternum up, and then my lower sternum, and then drifting my way down through my spine in this position here till we find what feels like full thoracic extension again for you at this point in time. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drift our way back. So we're going to stay in this position with our thoracic spine, but our neck is going to start to come down. And then once our chin's into our chest, we're going to start to unlock those collarbones or the top of the rib cage. You're going to start to unlock the middle of your sternum, unlock your lower sternum, and just trying to send your spine backwards one piece at a time, curling yourself into spine flexion. And you can kind of push through your hands to assist with that. Now we're going to throw a little twist at you, okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to pull our right shoulder towards our right hip. So if you watch me, I'm kind of dipping down on this side and I'm crunching on this side of my body. So now I've closed off the right side of my thoracic spine and opened up the left. I'm going to keep it that way. I'm going to take a mouthful of hair, and then we're going to drift back the other way. So now I'm going to start drifting my way into spine extension, starting from the bottom this time, and working our way up. So you can go bottom up or top down. Right now we're going bottom up because we just did a few top down reps. And now I'm going to pull my left shoulder to my left hip, and now I'm opening up the right side of my thoracic spine. And again, starting from the bottom, I'm going to take my tailbone, roll it underneath me, and I'm going to start to curl my way up my spine all the way into flexion. And then I'm going to come back over to this right side, side bending to the right. And then we're going to start with the low back again. We're going to drift our way all the way back up into full spine extension. And then we're gonna come back to the left side, crunching on that left side, rolling that tailbone underneath us. And then this time we're just gonna come to neutral or to straight on. So not crunching on the right, not crunching on the left, just straight away. But now we're gonna throw it in reverse. Now we're gonna go back to the left side. You're gonna dip that tailbone down and you're gonna start to climb your way up your thoracic spine, making your way into full extension. And then you're gonna crunch back over to the right side. You're gonna roll that tailbone back underneath you. So we're going a little faster now. Coming into full flexion, side bending over to the left, creeping your way back into lumbar extension, starting with the bottom, working your way up. Let's do one more here, okay? So side bend over to the right for me, roll that tailbone underneath you, start to allow your spine to round all the way up. You can push through your hands to help, come over to the left side, drift your way back into extension, and then work your way back to midline. Very good. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually take our stick here, okay? So before we get into our more rotational focused exercise, we're gonna try and get your ribs moving a little bit. Your ribs attach in between each of your thoracic vertebrae and they function like levers. They help to mobilize your thoracic spine for you and to keep your thoracic spine mobile. And if your ribs aren't moving well, your thoracic spine can't move well. So here's what we're gonna do to help to kind of prime our thoracic spine to be a little bit more willing to move and to start to address any rib tightness that you might have. So I'm gonna find something I can hang on to. I don't wanna be up at shoulder height. I actually wanna be down on a bit of an angle like this here. And I'm just gonna hang out with my legs out in front of me like this. Now, like I said earlier, you could sit at your kitchen table, grab onto your kitchen table, grab onto your computer desk, whatever you have accessible to you. Or you can take a stick and you can wedge it into a door frame and then you can lean back against the door frame as well. Work with that, whatever you have. So just find something you can hang off of if you can. And what we're gonna do is with our hands shoulder width apart, I don't want you to give me so much of that cat-cow that you just gave me there where your sternum went up and your sternum went down. This time what you're gonna work on is making your sternum go backwards, and that's gonna help open up the back of your rib cage a little bit more. So what that's gonna look like is, for reference, this would be my sternum cranked forward. So I'm taking my sternum bone and I'm bringing it forward. This would be it going backwards. So my shoulder blades are gonna have to separate to accommodate this. And I'm just gonna let my sternum kind of fall back and I'm gonna feel a big stretch between my shoulder blades, okay? And like I said, I find that a little easier with our arms a little lower. So we're just hanging out literally. This should be a fairly relaxed position. You're not forcing it, you're not yanking on your stick, you're just falling back into it. Once you've felt like, okay, I feel my sternum going back, I feel my shoulder blades separating, I feel a stretch in my upper back, remember that your ribs are the cage of your lungs, right? They protect your lungs. When you breathe, it expands. So we're gonna use air to help to expand the backside of this rib cage to help to open you up a little bit. The way that we're gonna do that, just close your eyes for me, look straight ahead so your chin's not into your chest. Take a nice slow inhale through your nose, okay? Just notice where that first breath goes and just take a note of it for me for later. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna exhale all that air out like you're blowing through a straw. As you do so, you're just gonna fall a little deeper into that stretch if you can, so allow your shoulder blades to separate as you exhale. It's gonna be subtle. You're just gonna get centimeters more between your shoulder blades. You're gonna pause. You should feel the muscles on the side of your abdomen slightly engaged at this moment. Don't lose them as you inhale as slow as you can. And if you can keep those muscles engaged, you're gonna feel the air go between your shoulder blades if you do a good job. Nice slow inhale into that space between your shoulder blades. And then when you're ready, you're gonna blow it all out again. And just fall into that stretch. Hopefully you got a little bit more space between your shoulder blades. Nice slow inhale, but don't lose those side ab muscles because they're again gonna direct more air backwards. So those lower front abdominals will help you direct air backwards and up into your rib cage. Once you've taken all the air in there you can, you're gonna blow it all out again. And just fall into it. Try to keep your neck relaxed. Nice slow inhale, again, without losing those abs. Again, they're there to direct air into that nice open space between your shoulder blades. And you're gonna give me one more breath like this. So good exhale. Notice those abs. Slow inhale. This is your last inhale. Bring as much air into that space as you can. And then good exhale. Very good. So that's a way you can start to get your ribs moving, which should free up a little bit more motion through your thoracic spine, both in general and acutely, meaning right now. So if you've been pushing thoracic spine mobility and you haven't done a damn thing for your ribs, you might want to consider it, and that's one option or one tool you can put in your toolbox to use for that. Now that we've done that, we're going to try and move our thoracic spine as much as we can, and this is where I want you to grab a pillow, a cushion, anything big and round you have accessible to you. I'm going to use this small ball so I don't blow out my microphone, and I'm going to try to talk a little quieter so it doesn't blow your ears out. But I want you to wrap your arms around your object and try to get your elbows together in the front. And then if you can join me in this position here, please feel free. If you're uncomfortable in kneeling like this, just have a seat on a chair for me. Okay, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to start to round our thoracic spine. Remember, we said flexion's really important for thoracic mobility. That ball is going to come all the way down. Okay, you're going to fold yourself, curl yourself around the ball, and then you're going to try and turn your chest, turn your sternum over to the right side of the room. Then we're going to dip our right shoulder down to our right hip, just like we did in that first exercise. Now we're going to start to come up towards the ceiling, but I don't want you to just do this with your low back. I want you to lead with your sternum. So think about pulling your sternum, your chest, up towards the ceiling. Get as much of that from your upper back as you can. Then you're going to turn over to the left. You're going to side bend over to the left, so left shoulder dips down. And you're going to start to curl your way back around to your start position, or what we'll call home base. Now we're going to throw it in reverse. You're going to rotate over to the left. You're going to side bend to the left. You're going to try and point that sternum at the sky using your upper back, not your lower back. So lift that sternum, rotate over to the right. Sternum points to the right side of the room. Right shoulder drops down to right hip, and you're going to curl your way back around in front and wrap yourself around your round object. Now going back to the right side, rotate right. Dip to the right, coming all the way back up into extension, chest to the sky. Rotate back to the left, side bend to the left, curl your way back around in front. You guys are doing really good. We're going to go back to the left side here, rotate to the left, side bend to the left. Chest comes up to the sky, up to the sky. Try not to use that low back. See what you can feel in your upper back, just like we worked earlier. Right side bend, right rotation, coming back around in front. Now this time, here's what I want you to do. I want you to find what feels like the tightest spot for you. So when you rotate to the right, see how it feels. When you start to dip, for a lot of people, this is going to be where it's going to feel really tight. If this is where it's really tight for me, this is where I'd pause. You find wherever it feels tightest for you, but then what I want you to do is stay where you are. So I'm going to stay in this position here because this is it for me. I feel a big stretch all along this side of my rib cage. I'm going to blow all my air out, which is going to cause the opposite side of my rib cage to just cinch down. I'm going to keep it cinched down as I inhale, which is going to push as much air over to that left side where it's tight as I can. So nice slow exhale, empty everything out, cinch that right side down. Now I'm going to inhale really slow, and I'm going to feel a big expansion on the left side of my body, and then I'm going to continue on. And then you can do the same thing at any point in this exercise when you're like, oh yeah, wow, I feel really tight there. So I could do the same thing on this side. Cinch down that left side of my body, stay there, don't lose the cinch on the left as I slowly inhale on the right. And I'm going to feel a lot of expansion on that right side, and then I'm just going to continue around. So again, just take that concept, learn to assess your own body as you move through this exercise and get a really good feel for where you're tight. So explore your thoracic spine, explore your rib cage, find where it feels tight, sit in that position and sit with it, but then also use your breath as a way to take advantage of the fact that your ribs attach to your thoracic spine, and they will help you mobilize your thoracic spine. And just take some deep breaths there. That is all for today. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave them down below. Otherwise, thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.